r/AskReddit. People of Reddit, what was the weirdest thing you've heard a tourist say? My uncle was visiting from Colombia and he looked at the huge mounds of snow where the plows pushed them off the driveway with this weird look on his face. Before we could ask, he poked it and it was rock solid. That's ice. The snow is over there. My Spanish isn't the best. He nods and proceeded to stick his hand in. At first he was bewildered the texture and water. Then he honest to God shrieked that it was cold and ran back in the car. His wife laughed at him and we all went inside. They stayed for a week and many more shenanigans ensued. This country is so ugly while in a McDonald's. When I was in Thailand I heard a woman complaining that the staff at a hotel didn't speak German. Why would they be speaking German? Not really weird. Just stupid. My cousin was at Neuschwanstein in Bavaria back in the 90s and overheard a couple Americans look at it, turn to each other, scoff, and say that's such a terrible imitation of Cinderella's castle. Oh, we're going to Vienna? Better brush up on my Italian. When does Venice close? Oh, it's a city that people live in. Not an amusement park made for tourists. Where can we get tea with the Queen? Yo, I'm from the UK. Tourist. Do you know how I can get to Lugaberga? Me. Sorry. Where? Tourist. Lugaberga, it's a really famous British town. Me. Turns to colleague. Hey colleague. Ever heard of a Lugaberga? Colleague. UHH. No. Never. Must be a tiny little village. Or somewhere up north. Me. To tourist, I'm sorry. I can't help you. I've never heard of Lugaberga before. Try heading to the bus station. They might be able to help you down there. About a week later, we were sat in the staff room recounting this strange encounter to our colleagues, taking the piss about this mythical Lugaberga, when someone pipes up and asks, do you think they meant Loughborough? Honestly, this kept us going for weeks. At Lake Louise, when do they drain the lake to paint the bottom? Whoa. You guys have houses and running water. We thought you all lived in teepees here. I'm working in a supermarket. Tourist holds up a cold packaged raw steak and asks, do I need to cook this? Where is London Bridge? Actually, London Bridge is kind of a joke because it's a really ugly, boring bridge. It's coming up next. The really interesting bridge you should photograph is Tower Bridge. It's a common misconception to confuse the two bridges. Wait, that is it? Yes. It's boring, isn't it? That can't be London Bridge. Where is London Bridge? At what elevation do deer turn to elk? I live in the Rocky Mountains. Honest to God. Would hear this at least once a ski season. I was on a tour bus and spoke to my family in French. American woman besides me looks at her husband and asks, did she just say poo poo caca? When I translated what I said to her, she looked at me and said, if you all can speak English, why do you speak French? Why are there so many Asians here? In the middle of Shibuya Scramble Crossing, Tokyo. I expected there to be more kangaroos, said by a disappointed American about Sydney City. It'd be like going to New York and being disappointed there weren't more deer wandering around. I thought there were supposed to be kangaroos everywhere. We were in Austria, not Australia. I was a tour guide at a local cave. We were in the first room of the cave and I had just finished showing examples of all the different cave formations and explaining how they were created by water depositing a mineral called calcite. I ask if there were any questions and a guy in the back raises his hand. I call on him and he says, what did y'all make all of this out of? I'm confused and ask for clarification. He's obviously irritated and says, what did y'all carve all this out of? Styrofoam. I explained that the cave formations were made by nature out of rock. He clearly did not believe me and kept touching formations, which is a big no-no. I had to have him removed from the tour. In my country, there's a province called Vegan, pronounced same as vegan. So this province has food that has their name on it, like vegan longanisa, sweet sausage. So when we took tourists to this province, one got confused and asked me if the foods were plant-based. I carefully explained no. Vegan is in the place, not vegan. But the whole trip, she still kept on telling her companion, I don't get it. It's vegan, but not plant-based? This is a crazy town. So yeah, I probably was not able to explain it correctly in English. SMH. We were taking an Alaskan cruise. Up on deck sailing through the fjords. The mountains just shoot up out of the ocean. And you just sail through them like you're in the clouds or something. Overheard a lady tell her husband his headache must be due to us being at these higher elevations. Thanks for watching, mate. Make sure to smash that subscribe button for more high quality content.